Top 10 Best Gravity Falls Episodes. Gravity Falls is not a show I expected to like nearly as much as I did. I mean, I'd only ever heard positive things about it, but I also thought since it's Disney Channel there's no way it would be that good since it would limit what it can get away with. But I was wrong. So wrong. And I'm glad I was because this show is freaking amazing. I joined in watching just before the series final aired, and as soon as I saw the pilot, I was hooked. Every episode seemed to drag me into liking this series more than the last, even if I didn't like the episode as much as the previous one. Season 2 in particular was really story focused and dark, and it amazes me Disney let Alex Hirsch get away with what he did. As for rules, there aren't any for this particular list. I am going to say that if you have not seen this show, then spoiler alert. I will be going over the plot of each of the episodes, and this is quite a story focused show. So, once again, if you do not want the series spoiled for you, click away now. Without any further delay, let's get to the list. Number 10, Scaryoke. The final episode of Gravity Falls Season 1 was huge, with the main villain at the time, Gideon, being arrested. Stan continues his work on his portal. Dipper resurrects the dead when trying to prove to the government guys how weird the town is. To kill the undead, there needs to be a 3-part harmony, which is done by Dipper, Stan, and Mabel. Stan finally admits to Dipper that he obviously knows weird stuff happens in the town, after denying it for a whole season. We get a badass moment of Stan killing the undead protecting Dipper and Mabel, something I was really hoping for when watching the episode. The song moment itself is really fun since the characters get really into it. The best part of this episode though is Seuss as a zombie. Everything Seuss says and does as a zombie is comedic gold. It's so perfect. Number 9, Northwest Mansion Mystery. I never shipped Dipper and Pacifica. But, before you hated me for saying that, I never shipped anyone with anyone in any show. That really is just not something I do. That being said, I did really enjoy this episode, despite not being a shipper. Pacifica manages to get Dipper's help trying to get rid of a ghost. Dipper manages to capture the ghost in a mirror, but is then tricked, and the ghost escapes, causing havoc. The ghost then turns everyone at Pacifica's parents' house party into wood. The ghost is then stopped by Pacifica letting in the townspeople a promise that was made by the Northwest from previous generations to the ghost back when he was alive. The episode then ends with Old Man McGucket running over to Dipper trying to tell Dipper that his laptop has a countdown with 21 hours and 30 minutes left on it, but Dipper pushes him away. Also, Grenda gets herself a boyfriend in a small but pretty hilarious subplot. I thought Pacifica's father using the bell to control her was very creepy, and I'm glad she was able to break out of the control by the end of the episode. There is a great callback to the Into the Bunker episode, with Dipper turning into wood in the position the shapeshifter said would be his last pose. This episode has great character development for Pacifica, a character that at the beginning of the series I found completely unlikable, but slowly managed to turn into a better person, and I slowly managed to like her a lot more. This episode's final moment with McGucket really built up the tension that the show had already been building up for many episodes prior. Number 8, Blendins Game. It's Seuss's birthday, and after he freaks out over people talking about it, Dipper and Mabel take him to play laser tag to cheer him up. Right before they get to play, Dipper and Mabel have to deal with Blendin, who challenges them to Globnar. Dipper and Mabel run away with a time-travelling tape measure and see why Seuss hates his birthday in the past. Which, if you've seen the episode, you know it's due to his abandonment issues. They both do have to end up dealing with Globnar, but they win, and they are given a free wish, which they give to Seuss. Seuss uses it for pizza, but not just any pizza, infinite pizza. It was nice getting a backstory for Seuss. He's always been the lovable dumb guy, and the lovable dumb guys tend not to get very many serious moments, but Seuss is more than that. He has more depth, and this episode shows that. He doesn't have as big of a backstory as someone like Stan, but he isn't that kind of character. He's just a guy trying to enjoy life with his friends. Number 7, The Time Traveler's Pig. The other notable Blendin appearance, and his first one, plus it's also the first appearance of everyone's favourite cartoon pig, Waddles. Okay, calm down, maybe he's not everyone's favourite, but he's mine. When Dipper tries to win Wendy a prize to impress her, he accidentally hits her in the eye through bounce back with a ball. Meanwhile, Mabel is spending her time winning Waddles. They then run into Blendin for the first time, whom doesn't take care of his time-traveling tape measure, and Dipper and Mabel get their hands on it. Dipper and Mabel go back in time so that Dipper can win Wendy the prize, but without hitting her with the ball. But the only timeline where that is a possibility is the timeline where Mabel doesn't win Waddles. Dipper decides to let Mabel have Waddles, and accepts that Wendy will unfortunately get hit. Waddles does get a good revenge on Robbie though for Dipper. This episode shows that Dipper is willing to put Mabel before anyone else, even Wendy. I love Waddles. He isn't just a boring pig, but he's also a character, and a good one. He doesn't get that much to do throughout the series, but he brings joy into every scene that he's in. Number 6, Summerween. Dipper wants to go to a party that Wendy and Robbie are going to. He instead goes with Mabel trick-or-treating. They get confronted by the Summerween trickster and must gather 500 pieces of candy for him. There's also a subplot with Grunkle Stan trying to scare some young children. It's one of my favourite subplots in the entire series. It isn't my favourite, but it's one of my favourites. The Summerween trickster is a really creepy character, and probably one of the best monsters we've come across in the entire series. Seuss gets 2 really dark moments in this episode. First, him hitting someone with a car and wondering if they were a regular person, and him going all alien on the trickster. 2 very, very funny scenes. This is one of those earlier episodes that really helped me get hooked on the show. Number 5, Boss Mabel. Mabel takes over as the boss of the Mystery Shack after a bet with Grunkle Stan. The bet is that Grunkle Stan can make more money than Mabel while he's gone from the Mystery Shack, and while she's in charge of it. Grunkle Stan tries to earn more money than Mabel in the time he's gone by going on a game show. I'm saying this right now, I think that this is the funniest episode of the entire show. My favourite character is Stan, and this episode really shows off how funny his character is. Mabel and Stan are actually far more similar than you would first suspect. I mean, Mabel basically becomes Stan at the end of the episode, which is understandable as keeping the Mystery Shack crew in control does seem like a daunting task. Stan's side of the episode, which I guess you could call a subplot even though it's very connected to the main, is the funniest story in the whole series for me. It's Stan trying to win money on a game show. That's a brilliant idea. The plot for this episode isn't complicated to say the least, but in terms of the amount of humour stuffed into this episode, in my opinion, no other episode has beaten it in the entire series. Number 4, A Tale of Two Stans. So, Grunkle Stan had a twin brother this whole time, and in this episode we find out that his twin brother Stanford got stuck in the portal, and that's what Stan was doing all this time. And yes, previously Stan Lee was Stanford, but now that Stanford's back, Stan Lee has to go back to his name of Stan Lee. We get to see the past between the two Stans, and it answers so many questions that I, and I'm sure a lot of other people, had with this series up until this point. This is just an amazing episode in terms of answering questions and solving some of the mysteries. It lets us learn why both Stans are the way they are, and as a whole episode this was amazingly well done, and it was a great follow-up to Not What He Seems. Number 3, Society of the Blind Eye. I never expected Crazy Old Man McGucket to get an emotional episode, but damn is it a good one. Dipper thinks he figures out who the author is, that being McGucket. When Dipper goes to McGucket though, we find out that McGucket doesn't know what he was in the past because most of his memory is gone. Dipper shows him the journal, and he recognises a page that is about the Society of the Blind Eye. The rest of the episode has the main group, other than Stan, trying to recover McGucket's memories from the Society. McGucket is my favourite side character on the show, and I always look forward to him appearing in any episode. I think as a character he got more laughs out of me than anyone else. It was great for the writers and Alex Hirsch to give the really likeable, funny side character a more serious backstory. I also like the small feud between Seuss and Wendy over that song. Number 2, Weirdmageddon Part 1, Weirdmageddon 2, Escape from Reality, and Weirdmageddon 3, Take Back the Falls. So, I decided to include all 3 parts as one since it might as well just be a Gravity Falls movie. I could rank them, but I'm not going to in this video. Bill takes over Gravity Falls, and everyone has to reunite in order to take him down. So much happens in this final to this near-perfect series. This episode feels like it has a character or a reference from every other episode. It might not, but it was definitely packed with them. Bill is a phenomenal villain for this series. Gideon was good at being a nuisance to the Pines family, but he was rarely scary or dangerous. He's just a kid with lots of power. Bill, on the other hand, is terrifying. I mean, I never found him intimidating when watching, well, until the very last episode. But when you actually think of what he wants and what he is capable of, then it's actually pretty terrifying. Like I mentioned, in the last episode in particular, he is very scary. The two main moments that showed him being terrifying was him saying he had children he needed to turn into corpses, and him picking which twin will die. Grunkle Stan has been my favourite character throughout the whole series, and damn was his sacrifice heartbreaking. I have mixed feelings on him recovering all his memories. On one side, I think it would have been far more sad to have him not remember anything, but on the other side, I'm glad my favourite character got his memories back. Either way, I think he got them back a little too fast. As a whole, it's probably a minor thing, but I felt like I should mention it. We get the endings for practically every character, and I thought they were all great. As for honourable mentions this time, I could go with pretty much anything from the series, but this time I'm going to say that any episode with Ford are the honourables. Every episode is at least good, but I thought all the Ford episodes were amazing. Number 1, Not What He Seems. This is one of the best episodes from any show that I have ever seen. It was exciting, it was funny, and it made me question whether I should actually trust Stan or not. Stan gets taken by the government guys, and so do Dipper and Mabel, but Dipper and Mabel get taken separately to Stan. Stan is taken because it's believed the thing he's been working on all of this time is a doomsday device. Stan makes a quick phone call telling Seuss to guard the vending machine with his life. Everyone tries to get to the Mystery Shack, which of course they do, but in different orders. The episode tries to convince you that Stan may in fact be evil. Dipper quickly thinks that Stan has lied all of this time, but Mabel isn't as sure what to think. That scene where Stan runs into the basement telling Mabel not to shut down the device and not to press the button was so intense. While I was thinking, oh, this is a Disney show, they won't make Stan actually a bad guy, I also quickly thought, but then again, they did allow so much I never expected Disney to allow. I did come to thinking, yes, Stan has to be a good guy. He seems to care way too much for Dipper and Mabel, and it doesn't seem fake. Seuss is a great guy as always, and for once doesn't trust Stan when Dipper and Mabel show up at the vending machine, and tries his best to protect the kids from him. So much happens in this episode that it's actually hard to summarise it all. We finally figure out what Stan's been doing this whole time, and we actually get the reveal of who the author of the journals is. They were two of, if not the biggest mysteries in the show up until this point, and they were answered in a hilarious, intense, action-packed, suspenseful, mysterious 22 minutes. Everything up until this point was getting slowly answered, and then this episode appears and blows your freaking mind. I really hope that anyone who hasn't seen this show and is watching this video and has made it to this point watches Gravity Falls and definitely Not What He Seems, because this show is amazing and this episode is a masterpiece. Thank you all so much for watching the video. Please write your favourite episodes in the comment section down below. That's all for now, so see you next time.